Boys and gents, this is Soldier ODs on Meth has crazy adventures, Tales from the Bottle by the channel Quixir, QXIR, that's the channel. Some had more fun during history's deadliest conflict than others. Quivenin was assigned to a ski patrol on 20th April 1944. So this is in World War II. Ski patrol? Okay. So there are people who are fighting in this war who was skiing apparently. 3 days into their mission on March 18, the group was attacked and surrounded by Soviet forces, from which they managed to escape. Oh, okay. So these are in the ice. They were fighting. So ski patrol, that's I didn't know about that. So basically some Russians are coming through the woods trying to find, and they are suddenly gonna see people skiing towards them and shoot at them and just ski pass by, like some kind of, drive-by shooting or something, ski-by shooting. Okay. Seriously, in the name of war, something really stupid things has happened. Okay, I understand where this is going. So yeah, lots of people don't know about this, but in World War II, lots of people were given, methamphetamine, because in small doses it makes you a bit alert and just all around in good mood. So lots of people are given meth. Obviously, it's prone to be, overuse, abusing it. So this is probably their story. Somebody abused it just to get high or something. I don't know. I haven't seen the video, but let's see. I hope it's really funny, man.
You may have heard of German soldiers using the substance Pervitin during World War II. It was a drug that came in little tablets that, when consumed, would increase the soldier's alertness, decrease his desire for sleep and food, and overall boost his mood and take his mind off the horrors of war. And this was all thanks to the amazing power of meth. Yes, Pervitin was methamphetamine, which in small doses was a useful tool for soldiers as it provided the aforementioned effects. However, larger doses or long-time use started to present problems: agitation, irritability, sleeplessness, hallucinations, delirium, psychosis. Hell, you probably don't need me to tell you why meth is bad. You've more than likely heard stories of meth binges where the user doesn't sleep for days and is completely off their gourd the entire time. Wrestler X-Pac was a meth addict for years and has told a story of a particular time when he took meth and stood in one spot for 2 or 3 days until someone found him.
What?
His feet had swelled so much that
X-Pac did meth and stood in one place for 2 to 3 days? Damn, that's ridiculous. 2 to 3 days straight, just stood at one spot. Then his leg give in or something. I don't understand that. How was he just standing there for 2 to 3 days? Maybe it's what he thinks he did it. Maybe he sat down, stood up, and he just don't remember it. Standing there straight for 2 to 3 days, I don't know, man. I don't know how that can happen. Damn, X-Pac had math problem? I didn't know that.
they burst open his boots. So today I will tell you a tale of a World War II soldier accidentally overdosing on Pervitin during combat and ending up alone in the freezing Russian countryside where he had to survive for 2 weeks, all the while tripping balls on meth. Born in 1917, Imo Koivunen was a Finnish soldier in World War II. Despite eventually fighting against the Nazis, in 1941 Finland unofficially allied with the Germans against their common enemy, the Soviet Union. In 1944, Imo Koivunen found himself on ski patrol in Murmansk.
Basically they want to fight against the Soviet Union, not as much as wanted to ally to Germany, but being enemy of enemy becomes your friend. That was the mentality then.
Oblast, Russia. The unit had been on the move almost non-stop for 2 days, but were now setting up a small camp in the forest to take a small break. Unfortunately, they were interrupted by their sentries opening fire. The Russians had found them. A firefight broke out, but it soon became clear that the Russians outnumbered the Finns and were moving around to surround them. Their only hope was to escape. The Finnish company started to retreat, with the Russians in hot pursuit. But not that hot, the temperature's below freezing. As the two sides exchange fire, Imo takes the lead. He estimates there is at least a platoon of Russians after them, and they seriously need to pick up the pace. However, Imo's need for speed is hampered by his lack of sleep. Despite the life-threatening circumstances, he's losing strength and starting to drift. The men behind him call out and tell him he needs to move faster, but his body is in protest, and so his need for speed is replaced with a need for speed. Imo had been entrusted with a unit supply of Pervitin, and now realised he was going to have to take some to stay awake. However, in the panic, he is unable to remove just one pill from the bottle with his mitts, and instead has accidentally poured the whole thing out, around 30 pills. I'm gonna guess the sleep deprivation had clouded his judgment, because when he sees this, he just decides to eat all of them. God only knows how he swallowed 30 fucking pills without water. Not long after, Imo is...
Nowadays, in age of internet, people can search a lot of things, so people know the side effects of things. So nobody today would just overdose on some simple pills or drugs or whatever. This is not a simple drug, but I'm just saying a point of what is. So in this internet age, nobody's going to simply overdose on Advil or something. But back then in 1940s, there was no internet. You knew what you knew, where you lived, and what your, what your knowledge about that it is. So usually what happened, I've seen this in many places, getting overdose wasn't in people's mind. They're just like, it's pill, I mean, it's for pain. So lots of people just usually overdosed on pain pills and things like that. That was so frequent. So I guess that's what happened here. He tried to take out one pill, but he's skiing faster. So he accidentally took out all the pills. Now while he's skiing, he can just slowly put back in. So what he thought, rather than throwing away, why not? Let's just eat all of them. He didn't realize that this meth, overdosing on that, is going to be horrible.
Is reinvigorated, and he and his unit are able to successfully lose the Russians. It's just like they always say, kids, drugs are good for you. However, as time passes, Imo starts to notice the other effects of meth. The landscape appears to be changing form around him, and he drifts in and out of consciousness. After this point, Imo can only remember parts of the story, as if it were all a dream. His altered state does not go unnoticed by his unit, who are so worried by his delirious state, they take his ammo off him, unbeknownst to him. Imo fades out of consciousness, and when he snaps back to reality, he has no idea how much time has passed, but he is alone, with no magazines for a submachine gun, and no
Why did they took his ammo out?
supplies in his backpack. So begins 2 weeks of...
Okay, because he's so hyped, they probably were afraid that he's going to shoot their own people.
Isolated survival, tweaking on meth. Imo recounts that he had largely lost sense of time, and much of his journey consisted of him regaining consciousness while he was in the middle of doing something. He would often become lucid and have no clue how he got there, or how long it took, or why he was there. It's hard to know what was real and what was hallucination. The first thing he decides to do is head back to Finland. So, with compass in hand, he plots his course and goes on his merry way. Soon he is arguing with the boys about where they are and where they need to go.
Where they
he
come
sees
from?
smoke in the distance and realises there's probably a camp there where they can ask. Then he wakes up and he is falling down the slope. He had imagined the whole thing, except for the smoke. It seems there really was a camp not far away. Imo skis towards the camp. It must be the Germans. They'll look after him. Well, actually, it was the Russians, and now there's no way back. With no ammo, Imo just skis straight through the camp at full pelt. Shots are fired at him, and a few soldiers give chase. The chase goes on for an hour. At times, the Russians...
That was hilarious, man. That actually happened, goddamn. This feels like some comedy movie or something.
Russians are a mere 20 meters away. But eventually, night falls and a storm breaks out, and Imo loses them. He sets up a fire and makes some tea from pine buds, then he lies down and goes to sleep. However, after a while he sees a pair of eyes shining in the darkness. It's a wolverine, and it's creeping dangerously close. Terrified, Imo unsheaths his knife. The wolverine lunges at him.
Damn,
he
Hugh
thrusts his
Jackman.
knife forward. He wakes up. He has just punched a tree. The compass in his hand is now broken. After another day of skiing, Imo comes across an old friend. They rest under the spruce trees and chat, before the friend says they should get moving again, and so they go off. Imo wakes up. He is once again alone, and is now missing his gun and his backpack. He's even lost his cooking pot, so no more tea for Imo. Another day and night of skiing...
Wait a minute. So this is what he remembers. So this is all happened by his point of view. So the friend could be real, but he wasn't much of a friend, but somebody who just stole from him. That's why he's missing those things. Damn, this is something.
Yeah, and Imo comes across an abandoned cabin. He enters and finds a small pile of wood. He gathers it up for a fire, although he's so fucked he just builds it in the middle of the floor. He finds an old tin can and uses it to melt snow. With no pine buds to make tea, he just has to drink the hot water. He lies down next to the fire. Of course, being on the floor, the fire spreads. This doesn't seem to bother Imo though, and he just moves a little further away every time it gets
What
too
is this,
close.
Simpsons?
Eventually,
Damn.
the cabin is completely burnt and fucking collapses. There is a nearby furnace which Imo sets a fire in, and he falls asleep next to it. The next day, Imo follows a ski track to a guard post. This time, it must be
This feels like Homer Simpson's World War II story.
the Germans. He gets close and calls out, but there is no answer. He takes a few steps towards the outpost before being blown on his ass. Imo has stepped on a mine. He's alive, but his left foot is fucked up.
Is this a
The
dream?
guard post belonged to the Germans, but they had since mined it and abandoned it. As the cold is unbearable, Imo crawls 100 meters towards a dugout to take shelter. He pulls at the door before being hit with a blinding light. When he awakes, he is 30 meters away from the dugout. The door was rigged with an explosive.
Oh,
Now
God.
his eyes and head hurt, and his trousers have the arse torn out. This is the end of his journey. He can't continue like this. He must simply wait. He rips off the front of his shirt and uses it to bandage his left foot. He makes a small fire from which he is able to boil water. He is starving, in pain, weak, and freezing cold. The nights and days pass by until one day there is a shot. The Russians are approaching. Imo prepares to meet his maker until he hears shouting. The language is not Russian, but Finnish. He calls out to the soldiers for help. He is saved. The soldiers explained their sergeant had just stepped on a mine and they need to take him back to safety first, but they will return. He tries to argue, but they leave. Imo wonders, will they even remember him by the time
they're
they get
real?
back? Will he still be alive? Were they even real?
Yeah, there you
Again,
go.
days pass by. One day, a Siberian jay lands nearby. Slowly, Imo lifts his ski pole and with his last remaining strength, brings it down on top of the bird, killing it. He plucks most of the feathers and he just fucking eats the thing raw. Imo thinks it is delicious. Some time later, he hears a plane overhead. It is German reconnaissance. Imo shakes his ski pole and the pilot seems to take notice as the plane begins to circle overhead. Soon, Imo is reached by Finnish and German soldiers. They had been searching for him after they noticed his absence from the unit. The Germans clear the minefield and Imo Koivunen is rescued. At the hospital, Imo learns he had been on his
Damn,
own
okay, so that hitting by mine and exploding rig door, that was all real. That actually, he survived that. Damn.
for 2 weeks, and the guard post he had spent half that time lying in was 400 kilometers from where he had started. His heart rate is measured 200 beats per minute, and he weighed a shocking 43 kilograms. But he has survived. And like all meth abusers,
400 kilometers he skied down while being on meth. How did he survive that much? Did he eat something? Yeah, he ate the bird in the end, but during that, maybe in his blackout, maybe he ate something, who knows. 400 kilometers, damn.
Imo Koivunen lived a long and happy life, dying in 1989 at the age of 71. Actually, I suppose that isn't really that old. Maybe meth isn't good for you after all. I wouldn't know. I've never tried it. It's not really a big thing in Ireland. So until I open a P.O. box and let you all send me some, I suppose I'll just have to stick with good old harmless alcohol.
This is your own doing.
Damn, this was an awesome video by the channel Quicksir. This is an awesome channel, man. The way the graphics were made is just awesome. The sound effects, the way he narrated, it was just awesome. This is a great story, man. This is basically feels like Homer Simpson's story of World War II while being on meth or something. This really happened. I love how they just, skied past an entire Russian camp because there was no other way to go. He survived too, man. Man, this was awesome.